Welcome back in here to another Elmira Pioneers live stream. It's game 2 of the doubleheader against Newark today. Pioneers suffered a devastating walk-off loss in game 1, 12-11, the final, about 40 minutes ago. And that dashes, or at least puts a serious dent in their hopes of getting the #1 spot in the West Division standings. Now all they can hope for is that Geneva beats Batavia game 2, because guess what? Batavia mercy ruled Geneva in game 1 of that doubleheader, which certainly hurts the Pioneers. And so now they also have to keep an eye on Jamestown, who's coming up in 3rd place, trying to steal their home playoff spot right now. So the Pioneers are in desperate need of a win here. Of course, to all the Jamestown fans that were in my chat game 1, take care of your own business, because Auburn is currently beating Jamestown 4-2 right now in that one. So Jamestown fans, root for your own team before you start rooting for our opponents. So that's all I have to say to Jamestown about that. And so now moving on to game 2 here, I'm going to quickly run through the lineups as this game is moments away from getting started. Leading off, it'll be number 25, Frankie DiMartino, the left fielder. This is for Newark, by the way. This is Newark's lineup. Then it'll be number 8, Tatsunori Negishi, the extra hitter. Batting 3rd, it'll be number 10, Justin DiMartino, the left fielder. Batting 4th, it'll be number 7, Jack Arcamone, the designated hitter. Batting 5th, it'll be number 24, Chris Ferrara, the first baseman. Batting 6th, it'll be number 29, Nick Payne, the third baseman. Batting 7th, it'll be number 12, Briggs Loveland, the second baseman. Batting 8th, it'll be number 20, Michael Flaherty, the shortstop. Batting 9th, it'll be number 2, Paulie Goodness, the right fielder. And batting 10th, it'll be number 18, Jack Palowix, the catcher. And on the mound, starting game 2 for the Pilots, it will be number 37, Ian Goodness, the starting pitcher. Goodness will be getting the starting game 2 for the Pilots. And now, leading off for the Pioneers, it'll be number 33, Kevin Noss here, as I don't actually have time to read through the rest of the Pioneers lineup. So, as this game is about to get underway, as Noss will step into the batter's box here, the right fielder. He played left in game 1 for a little while Cooper Smith was throwing. He'll be facing Ian Goodness here, as Goodness now will set deliver. That is down low for ball 1 outside to Noss. And this one is officially underway here, as the count will go 1-0 to Kevin Noss. No outs here in the top of the first. Pioneers need a split here in this doubleheader, and then they got to hope for a Geneva split and an Auburn sweep, as that one is in there, called strike 1. I'll be updating you guys throughout this broadcast on the status of the other games. Currently, it's the top of the 6th. Auburn leads at 4-2 over Jamestown, and in the top of the first, Batavia leads at 1-0 in game 2 over Geneva. Goodness will set deal. That is ball 2 upstairs. So 2-1 the count to Noss. No outs here in the top of the first. Goodness now 2-1. Will now set, deliver, swung on a driven. That's a base hit in the left center. And that is going to be a leadoff single here for Kevin Noss, as his ball will be cut off. The Pioneers are pissed off now. They want this game. They're mad that they lost game 1. They're here for a vengeance. Noss singling is a good start now. 77, Joe Muzio at the plate. The designated hitter. Muzio's been hitless for the last 3 games. He needs something here to snap his streak. And he didn't get anything in game 1. And now, as Goodness with Noss off first, will now take ball down low inside for ball 1. And also, it is Newark here. For all of you wondering why you can't see first base, it is simply just because no matter what angle I put this camera at, there is no possible way for you guys to see first. So unfortunately, no first base. It'll just be second and third. Loveland will set deal, or excuse me, Goodness will set deal. That one is down low for ball 2. So 2-0 the count to Muzio. No outs here in the top of the first. 2-0 the count to Muzio. Goodness now will look over to Noss. And now we'll set deal. That one is in there, called strike 1. So 2-1 the count now to Muzio. No outs here in the top of the first. Noss still over there at first for the Pioneers. Goodness now will look over to Noss. 2-1. And now will be checked over to him, as Goodness will throw over to him. So 2-1 still the count, as Noss is still safe at first for the Pioneers. 2-1 the count to Muzio. No outs here in the top of the first. Goodness will set deal. Swung on a driven weakly over to short. This might turn 2. He'll go to second, go to first, not in time. So that is a fielder's choice. 1 out here in the top of the first. So Noss is out at second. Muzio is safe at first. So a fielder's choice out. We'll now bring up number 8, Cooper Smith, the extra hitter. He tried to close out game one. Could not close out game one. So now he'll be hitting here. He did have a couple base hits in game one. So it was not a very bad game for Smith. Smith now will look over to Muzio. Or excuse me, Goodness will look over to Muzio. And Goodness will set, deliver. Swung on it, popped in right field. Going back for it is the right fielder, and he will make the play. And so that will be a fly out to put 2 outs on the board here in the top of the first. And now, and I do want to clarify this to everyone just joining. Pioneers lost game one of this doubleheader, so if they do not win this, they will drop a game and come closer to Jamestown unless Auburn sweeps Jamestown in their doubleheader today, which is currently going on. So the Pioneers are nowhere close to first place, especially with Batavia with a 2-0 lead over Jamestown or over Geneva in game 2 of that doubleheader. And Batavia already won game one, so it's going to be very, very tough for the Pioneers to get first place. They're going to have to pretty much run the table from here on out and then hope that Batavia loses. 1-0 the count to Keller. 2 outs here in the top of the first. Muzio off first. Goodness now will set, deliver. That one is in there. Called strike one. So 1-1 the count now to Keller. 2 outs here in the top of the first. 1-1 the count to Keller. 2 outs here in the top of the first. Muzio off of first for the Pioneers. Goodness now will set, deal. That is down low and outside for ball 2. So 2-1 the count to Keller. 2 outs here in the top of the first. Muzio still off of first for the Pioneers. And so now Goodness will step back on the mound. 2-1 the count to Keller. 2 outs here in the top of the first. Pioneers just trying to stay where they are by winning this one. If they lose this game, they'll be put closer to Jamestown. If Jamestown can win against Auburn. That one is in there. Called strike 2. So deuces wild goes the count here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the first. 2-2 the count to Keller. 2 outs here in the top of the first. Muzio off of first. Goodness now will set, deal. Swing and a miss by Keller. He will go down swinging. That will be the end of the top of the first inning, as that is a strikeout by Keller. So no runs for the Pioneers in the top of the first. We go to the bottom of the first right after this. Welcome back here to the Pioneers live stream. It's the bottom of the first inning here. Pioneers in Newark still deadlocked in game 2 of this doubleheader. And so now it'll be number 99, Zach Nelson on the mound, making his second start. He's a 2.61 ERA and 20 innings pitched. He's given up 17 hits, 10 runs, 6 of those earned, 11 walks, and has 12 strikeouts this season, along with a 1-1 record. Last time we saw Nelson pitch was on the 19th at Niagara, where he threw for 3 innings, had 2 earned runs on 2 hits, and also had 3 walks in that ball game. So he'll be on the mound here to start game 2, and Nelson looking to try and get through this game a lot cleaner than what Zealy did in game 1. And so the Pioneers, obviously, they need this game, as currently Batavia is still routing Geneva, and Auburn holds a lead over Jamestown. So the Pioneers can still stay in second place after this game, even if they lose it, but they need some help from Auburn, and they're getting it right now, as it's the bottom of the 6th. Auburn leads it 4-2 over Jamestown in game 1 of that doubleheader. However, it's the bottom of the first inning, and Batavia leads 2-0 over Geneva. So the odds of the Pioneers getting first place go down quite a lot after that loss in Game 1. So it'd be very, very difficult for the Pioneers now to get first place. And it wouldn't take much for Batavia to lock it up, to be honest. As Nelson now will step in to face Frankie DiMartino, number 25, the leadoff man here, the center fielder. And that one will be in there, called strike one. So 0-1 the count to DiMartino, who has a .216 batting average, 22 starts, 7 runs, 16 hits, 2 doubles, 2 triples, 1 homer, 8 RBIs, 7 walks, and 17 strikeouts. Nelson now 0-1, set steals. That one is in just upstairs, ball 1. So 1-1 the count to DiMartino. No outs here in the bottom of the first. Nelson now will set, deliver, swung on it, popped up. That is into shallow right, and presto will catch it, and that will be one away. So pop out by DiMartino will put one out here in the bottom of the first. And so now that'll bring up number 8, Tatsunori Nagishi, the extra hitter. It was so hard to get out. Nelson now, one out here in the bottom of the first. Will now set, deliver. That one is in there, called strike one on a curveball. So 0-1 the count now to Nagishi. One out here in the bottom of the first. Nagishi did not strike out in Game 1, and he still has only struck out twice his entire season, which is amazing. That one is down low and outside for ball 1. So aces wild the count now to Nagishi. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out here in the bottom of the first. Nelson now will set deal. That one is upstairs for ball 2, and I just got word, so that is actually only 2 called strikeouts to Nagishi, not necessarily swing and misses. But 2-1 the count to Nagishi, 1 out here in the bottom of the first. Nelson now 2-1 will set deal. That one is in there, called strike 2. Pretty much what that means is that Nagishi just chops at everything and is able to keep himself alive, does a really good job of that, and rarely takes pitches on an 0-2 count. It is 2-2 the count now. Nelson looking for the first strikeout here. Nelson will set deal. That is outside for ball 3. So 3-2 the count out to Nagishi. 1 out here in the bottom of the first. Nelson 3-2. Will now set, deliver. That is down low. Ball 4. That'll be a walk for Nagishi. And put a runner on first here with 1 out in the bottom of the first. And now that'll bring up number 10, Justin DiMartino, the left fielder. DiMartino has a .273 batting average and 20 starts, 8 runs, 18 hits, 6 doubles, 5 RBIs, 4 walks, and 20 strikeouts so far this season. Nelson now will look over to Nagishi off first. 1 out here in the bottom of the first. Nelson will now set deal. That one is in there. Called strike 1 on a fastball. So 0-1 the count now to DiMartino. 1 out here in the bottom of the first. Nelson with Nagishi off of first. Nelson 0-1 will now check over to first, and Nagishi able to get back in time, so he is still safe. 0-1 the count to DiMartino. 1 out here in the bottom of the first. Nelson now leans in. And now we'll set, deal, swing and a miss by DiMartino, and the count goes 0-2. So 0-2 the count to DiMartino. 1 out here in the bottom of the first. Nelson looking for his first strikeout of the ball game to put 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Nelson 0-2 will look over to Nagishi again. And now we'll set deal. Swing and a miss by DiMartino. He goes down swinging. That will put 2 outs on the board here in the bottom of the first. And that is the first strikeout of the ball game for Nelson. And now that'll bring up number 7, Jack Arcamone, the designated hitter. Arcamone leads the team, the Pilots, in batting average, .329 and 21 starts. 13 runs, 24 hits, 3 doubles, 1 triple, 1 homer, 13 RBIs, 11 walks, and 16 strikeouts. As that one is in there, called strike 1. 0-1 the count to Arcamone. 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Nelson now looks in, 0-1. And now we'll look over to Nagishi. And now we'll set, deliver. That one is in there just upstairs for ball 1. So 1-1 the count to Arcamone. 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Chernetsky catching for the Pioneers today, which is quite odd to see, actually. It's rare. However, this was premeditated as Chernetsky caught in several Finger Lakes exhibition games. Nelson will set deal. Swung on a driven. That's a base hit in the left. And that will be a single by Archimone to put a runner on first and second here for the Pilots with 2 outs in the bottom of the first. And now that'll bring up number 24, Chris Ferrara, the first baseman. Ferrara has a 171 batting average and 11 starts, 3 runs, 6 hits, 3 doubles, 1 RBI, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts so far this season. 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Ferrara. Nelson now will set, deal. That one is upstairs, ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Ferrara. 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Nelson 1-0. We'll look into Ferrara here. And now we'll look over to Negishi off second. Now sets, delivers, swing on, and pop back. That is a called strike. As he swung and just tipped it. So 1 on the count to Ferrara. 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Nelson 1-1 will now step back in, step back onto the mound here. 2 outs here in the bottom of the first, so any out will end the inning for Nelson. Nelson now looks over to Negishi. And now we'll set, deliver, swung on, a popped up in the left. And it is Abe going back. And it actually is Gingrich who will make the play in left center. And that'll be a fly out by Ferrara to end the bottom of the first inning. No runs for the Pilots in the bottom of the first. We go to the top of the second right after this. Welcome back here to the Pioneers live stream. It's the top of the second inning here. Pioneers and Pilots still tied at no runs apiece. It'll be number 47, Ray Hernandez, the third baseman. He'll be leading off here in this one. Thank you. And so now Goodness will set deal. That one is down low and outside for ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Hernandez. No outs here in the top of the second. Goodness 1-0. Hernandez with home run power. It'd be awesome if he can hit one here. He hasn't done it in a little while. Goodness will set deal. Swung on it, skied in the shallow left. The shortstop and the left fielder. Left fielder converges and catches it. And so that'll be a fly out by Hernandez to put 1 out here in the top of the second. And so now that will bring up number 2, John Presto, the shortstop. Presto now will be stepping in here to face Goodness. 1 out here in the top of the second. Goodness was set deal. That one is in there. Called strike 1. 1-1 the count to Presto. 1 out here in the top of the second. Goodness 0-1. Will now set, deliver. That is down low and outside for ball 1. So the count will go aces wild here to Presto. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out here in the top of the second inning. Goodness 1-1. And now we'll set, deliver. That one is upstairs in there, called strike 2. So 1-2 the count out of Presto. 1 out here in the top of the second. Goodness, 1-2. Will now set, deliver. That is down low and outside for ball 2. So 2-2 the count out of Presto as it evens up. 1 out here in the top of the second. Once again now, Goodness 2-2. Well, now set, deal, swung on a driven. That is going to be a base hit into right. And so a single for Presto here with 1 out in the top of the second. And now, excuse me, because I do have to change my battery real quick before it dies in the middle of the action. And so now that'll bring up number 42, Spencer Aubin, the left fielder. Aubin did not play game 1. He's now playing game 2 here. Presto on first with a base hit single. 1 out here in the top of the second. And Goodness will set deal. That is outside, and Presto's going to go to second, and there will be no throw made by the catcher. So 1-0 the count to Aubin. 1 out here in the top of the second, and Presto is safely at second base. 1-0 the count to Dom. Or excuse me, 1-0 the count to Aubin. 1 out here in the top of the second. Presto is over there at second base. Goodness, 1-0. And we'll now set, deliver. That is down low in there. Called strike 1. Just caught the down right corner of the zone. So aces wild goes the count to Aubin here. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out here in the top of the second inning. Goodness, 1-1. And we'll now set, deal. That is down low for ball 2. So 2-1 the count now to Aubin as he will take the lead. 1 out here in the top of the second inning, and it is Dom Presto off of second base for the Pioneers. Goodness, 2-1. We'll look over to Presto. And now there's going to be a throw-out attempt. Presto able to get back in time as the ball is dropped by the shortstop, Flaherty. So still 2-1 the count to Aubin as Presto is still safe over there at second base for the Pioneers. Still 2-1 the count. Goodness now steps back on the mound. 1 out here in the top of the second. Goodness now looks over to Presto. And now there's going to be a bit of a throwdown here as he is safe at third. Presto able to steal it as he got caught running. And so now the count's still 2-1 to Aubin. Pioneers looking to take a lead in this one as if Aubin can get a base hit here, that would score Presto is what I'm trying to say. 2-1 the count to Aubin. 1 out here in the top of the second. Presto off of third base for the Pioneers. Goodness, now 2-1 will set, deliver. Swing and a miss by Aubin, and the count will quickly go 2-2 here now. So 2-2 the count to Aubin. 1 out here in the top of the second. Goodness, 2-2. Will now set, deliver. That is down low and outside for ball 3. So 3-2 the count now to Aubin as it goes full here. Full count for Aubin. Big pitch here coming up for Goodness. 1 out here in the top of the second. Goodness, 3-2. Well, now looking to Aubin. Goodness, 3-2. Now looks into Aubin. This is a big pitch. Full count. Aubin trying to draw the walk. Goodness trying to get the strikeout. Goodness will set, deliver. That is check swing. Ball 4 for a walk. And they're going to say he's safe. So that is a walk for Aubin. Aubin will go over to first. Presto still on third. And now that'll bring up number 4, Weston Gingrich, the center fielder. With still only 1 out here in the top of the second. Runners on the corners for the Pioneers. So Goodness now will step onto the mound to face Gingrich here. Aubin on first, Presto on third for the Pioneers. Gingrich now. Goodness will set deal, and now immediately a steal attempt by Aubin, and he is going to be safe at second as the throw was short. So 0-1 the count to Gingrich, because I do believe that was a called strike. Yes, it was. So 0-1 the count to Gingrich, one out here in the top of the second. Aubin on second, Presto on third for the Pioneers here. Goodness now, 0-1, and will now step off and check over to Presto. So that is a balk, and that will score Presto. And so the Pioneers have a lead off of a balk from Goodness. And also, Aubin gets to go over to third. So a runner on third here now for the Pioneers, with only one out in the top of the second, and an 0-2 count to Weston Gingrich. And so now Pioneers 1-0, they lead it. And now we'll swing, and it's popped back foul by Gingrich, so he stay alive. 0-2 still the count. To the count to Gingrich. One out here in the top of the second. Goodness 0-2 will now set, deliver. That is outside, ball one. So 1-2 the count now to Gingrich. One out here in the top of the second. One to the count to Gingrich as he will step back in here. One out here in the top of the second. Goodness now 1-2. Well, now set, deal, swung on a driven. That is over to first base. First baseman will tag up at first, and that'll be an out. So a ground out by Gingrich. He was trying to prevent Aubin from going home, and he did. So that will be 2 outs here in the top of the second inning. And now that'll bring up number 24, Eric Charnetsky, the catcher. Charnetsky did not play game one, and is now coming in here for game two with 2 outs here in the top of the second. Goodness now with Aubin at third. Will now set, deal. That is upstairs, ball one. So 1-0 the count to Charnetsky. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Pioneers trying to rally back and split this doubleheader. And of course, I'm keeping my eye on the other doubleheaders going on. It's the bottom of the seventh. Auburn still leads it 4-2 over Jamestown. So that would be good for the Pioneers if Auburn can get a win. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Batavia in the top of the third still leads over Geneva 2-0. So 1-1 the count to Charnetsky will set, deal. That is down low for ball two. So 2-1 the count now to Charnetsky as he will take the lead. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Goodness now with Aubin still over there at third trying to get home. They give the Pioneers a multi-run lead for Zach Nelson to work with. Goodness now 2-1. And now we'll set, deliver. That is down low and outside. 3-1 goes the count now to Charnetsky. Three and 1 the count now to Charnetsky. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Goodness now. 3-1. Will now set, deal. That is in there. Called strike two. Was fastball right down the middle of the plate. So 3-2 the count now to Charnetsky as it goes full. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Goodness 3-2. Well, now set, deal. That is hit by pitch. As Charnetsky took that in the shoulder. And so that'll be a hit by pitch for Charnetsky, who will go over to first. 2 outs here still in the top of the second. Aubin on third. And now that'll bring up number 22, Nick Bisaccia, the second baseman. And so Bisaccia will be coming in. Bisaccia did have a base hit in game one of this doubleheader. Now he'll be looking to drive in Aubin here, or at least get on a walk to try and load the bases for Kevin Noss. And now an immediate steal attempt as that is fouled off. And so Charnetsky's going to have to go back as the count will go 0-1 to Versace, as that one was kind of scary as the catcher moved up and then got in the middle of Versace in his swing. So 0-1 the count now to Versace. 2 outs here in the top of the second. And so now, Goodness, 0-1 the count. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Goodness now 0-1 will check over to Charnetsky at first. Charnetsky able to stay safe at first, able to get back in time. And now Goodness looks over to Charnetsky again. 0-1 still the count. Goodness now will set deal. Charnetsky going to steal again, and he will be safe as the catcher loses the ball. So Charnetsky, as the count will go 1-1 to Bisaccia, will be safe at second base. So runners on second and third now for the Pioneers with 2 outs here in the top of the second. And so now Bisaccia 1-1 will now step back in. Goodness 1-1. Will now set, deliver. That is in there. Called strike 2. Down low in the zone. So 1-2 the count now to Bisaccia. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Bisaccia looking for a base hit. Goodness. One more strike, and this inning is over. 1-2 the count to Bisaccia. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Goodness, 1-2. Will now set, deliver. Swung on a pop back into the netting right in front of us. And so the count will stay at 1-2 to Bisaccia as he will stay alive. Goodness, 1-2. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Goodness now 1-2. Will now set, deliver. Swung on it, popped up. That is right field side and foul and out of play. So the count will stay at 1-2 to Bisaccia. 2 outs here in the top of the second. So still 1-2 the count to Bisaccia. 2 outs here still in the top of the second. Pioneers lead at 1-0. Goodness now 1-2. Will now set, deliver. That is down low for ball 2. So the count will now even up at deuces wild here to Bisaccia. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the second. 2-2 the count. Bisaccia now will step back in. Goodness now 2-2. Will now set, deliver. Swung on a pop back by Bisaccia. And the count will stay at deuces wild here to Bisaccia. Bisaccia, excuse me, as I straighten up my camera. That almost actually got my camera to go off the ledge here. So still 2-2 the count now. Still to Bisaccia. 2 outs here in the top of the second. So still a deuces wild count here. Bisaccia doing a great job of staying alive here, extending this at bat. Still 2-2. And now, Goodness will set deal. Swung on a driven into center. That might drop. It will drop. That'll be a base hit single, an RBI single, and that will score 2 runs. So the Pioneers lead it 3-0 now, thanks to a RBI single by Nick Bisaccia. He won the battle. That was an epic clash between Goodness and Bisaccia came out on top as the Pioneers are able to get a 3-0 lead now. And so now that'll bring up the leadoff man, number 33, Kevin Noss, the right fielder. Noss will be stepping in here with 2 outs here in the top of the second, and Bisaccia off first. Goodness now will set deal. Swung on it, driven into right. That might get down. It will be foul. And so the count will go 0-1 to Noss. That was down the first base line, but turned foul. So 0-1 the count to Noss. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Goodness now 0-1. Goodness looks over to Bisaccia off of first. Goodness now will check over to Bisaccia. Bisaccia able to get back in time. So he will stay safe at first base. 1-1 the count to Nos. 2 outs here in the top of the second. Goodness 0-1. Well, now Setio swung on a driven straight to the shortstop at Flaherty. Flaherty will turn to second in time. That'll be a ground out by Nos in order to end the top of the second inning. Pioneers do get 2 runs in the, or excuse me, 3 runs in the top of the second. We go to the bottom of the second. They lead it 3-0.
Integrity and hope. Hi, my name is Greg Taylor. I'm the vineyard manager and property manager of Bully Hill Vineyards, and I'm a 4th generation winemaker and 5th generation grape grower of my family. So it all started with my great-great-grandfather George and his son Walter Taylor Sr. They came up to this region for the promise of a better life due to the rising wine industry on Keuka Lake. Walter Taylor was the one who first started the Taylor Wine Company. The Taylor Wine Company was one of the largest wineries in the United States. My great-grandfather had passed away, and my grandfather Grayton and his 2 brothers Fred and Clarence took over the company at its peak, producing around 40 million gallons of wine a year. Grayton had a son, Walter, who was my father, and he started Bully Hill Vineyards in 1967. My father had a vision for the Finger Lakes wine industry. When Bully Hill was started, only 5 producers existed, and now there's over 300. And he firmly believed that you have to have a certain level of integrity and honesty with the people around you and yourself. And these are kind of the staples of what our business is. Bully Hill was built on the back of French-American hybrid vines. These varietals were developed in France in the 19th century, and they were brought over by my grandfather in the 1950s. And here at Bully Hill, we started the experimental farm, from where these hybrid varietals have made their way to almost all 50 states. As we become more environmentally conscious, we're looking for agricultural solutions that have less impact on the environment. Now, the French hybrids that
Welcome back here to the Pioneers live stream. It's the bottom of the second inning here. Pioneers lead it 3-0 over the Pilots in game 2 of this doubleheader. And Zach Nelson back on the mound here, leading off for the Pilots. It'll be number 29, Nick Payne, as it takes strike 1. So 0-1 the count to Payne, who's the 3rd baseman in game 2. And also, final score 4-2. Auburn beat Jamestown. So Jamestown fans, take care of your own business before you come into my live chat and start talking smack. So take care of your own business, Jamestown. That's all I have to say. Bottom of the 3rd inning, Batavia still leads it 2-0 over Geneva. And so 1-1 the count now to Payne. No outs here in the bottom of the second. Nelson now 1-1 will set deliver. That one is in there. Called strike 2. So 1-2 the count to Payne. Obviously, an Auburn win helps the Pioneers as it distances us from Jamestown. And obviously, we'd love if Auburn can win game 2. So hopefully, I'll be keeping my eye on that. Hopefully, they can do it. Nelson 1-2 will set deal. Popped up by Payne. That is out of play. And so the count will stay 1-2 to Payne. No outs here in the bottom of the second. Nelson now 1-2 will now set deliver. That is upstairs for ball 2. So 2-2 the count. No outs here in the bottom of the second. Also, by the way, I'm referring to all the Jamestown fans that were in my chat for game 1. Nelson will set deal. That is swung over to Presto at short. Presto will throw it to first in time. That will be one away. A ground out by Payne will put 1 out here in the bottom of the second inning. What a throw by Presto. A laser to first base. And so now that'll bring him number 12, Briggs Loveland, the second baseman. Loveland we saw in game 1. 1 out here in the bottom of the second as he will step in. Nelson now will set, deliver. That one is just down low and outside for ball 1. 1-0 the count to Loveland. 1 out here in the bottom of the second. Nelson now will set, deliver. That one is down low for ball 2. So 2-0 the count now to Loveland. 1 out here in the bottom of the second. Still no runners on for the Pilots here. Nelson 2-0. Will now set, deliver. That one is in there, just upstairs for ball 3. So 3-0 the count to Loveland. Nelson needs a pitch here to get back in the count. Nelson 3-0 will now set, deal. That is upstairs and outside for ball 4. So that'll be a walk by Nelson, the second one of the night for him, to put a runner on first with only one out here in the bottom of the second. So Loveland's on first, and now that'll bring on number 20, Michael Flaherty, the shortstop. Flaherty we saw in game 1. He's back here for game 2. And now Nelson will set, deal. That one is down low for ball 1. And Loveland almost looked as if he was going to go. 1-0 the count to Flaherty. One out here in the bottom of the second. Nelson 1-0 will now set, deliver. That one is down low and inside for ball 2. So 2-0 the count now. And just to clear up the confusion in the chat, Ray Hernandez is at third, Presto at short, Pisacci at second, Keller at first. Nelson 2-0. Will now set, deal. That one is in there. Called strike 1, low in the zone. So 2-1 the count now to Flaherty. One out here in the bottom of the second inning. Nelson 2-1. Will now check over to first, and it is still Loveland, who is safe at first. He got back in time. So still 2-1 the count to Flaherty. One out here in the bottom of the second. Nelson now, 2-1. Well, now set, deal, swung on a popped up. That is skied, and it is going to be out of play over our heads. So the count will go 2-2 now to Flaherty. One out here in the bottom of the second. It is still Briggs Loveland over there at first for the Pilots. Nelson now will check over to Keller at first, and he will be safe. So Loveland will still be over there at first for the Pilots. One out here in the bottom of the second. Nelson now 2-2. Will now set, deliver, swung on a popped up. That is right field side and foul. So Flaherty able to keep himself alive at 2-2. It is still Loveland at first. One out here in the bottom of the second. 2-2 the count to Flaherty. Nelson now 2-2. Will now set, deal. That is down low in the dirt. Ball 3. So 3-2 the count, and that was a good job by Charneski keeping it in front of him. So 3-2 still the count to Flaherty here. One out in the bottom of the second. Nelson 3-2. Will now set, deliver, swung on it, driven. That's a base hit in the left. And that is over the glove of Presto. And now that'll be a single for Flaherty to put runners on first and second for the Pilots with only one out here in the bottom of the second. And now that'll bring on number 2, Paulie Goodness, the right fielder. We saw Goodness in game 1. And now just an update on the Batavia game. It is top of the 4th, 2-0. Batavia still leads it over Jamestown, over Geneva. I don't know why I keep saying Jamestown. It's Geneva. 0-1 the count to Goodness, as that's called strike 1. Obviously, we're rooting for a Batavia loss as Pioneers fans here. However, it's unlikely. Geneva got mercy ruled in game 1 of that doubleheader. 0-1 the count now. Nelson will set, deal, swung on it, popped up. That is shallow infield. Presto will come under it, and that will be 2 outs. Pop out by Goodness will put 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. And so now that'll bring up the 10th batter in the Pilots lineup, number 18, Jack Palowitz, the catcher. Palowitz we did not see in game 1. He has a .074 batting average and 8 starts. 3 runs, 2 hits, 1 RBI, 4 walks, and 17 strikeouts so far this season. Nelson now, 2 outs, will set, deal. That one is upstairs for ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Palowitz. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. Nelson 1-0. Well, now set deal. That is upstairs for ball 2. So 2-0 the count now to Palowix. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. Nelson 2-0 with runners on first and second here. Nelson will set, deliver, swung on it, popped up. That is right field side and foul. So the count will go 2-1 to Palowix now. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. 2-1 the count to Palowix. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning. Nelson leads in 2-1. Looks over to second. And now we'll set deal. And that one is in there. Just caught the bottom of the zone. So the count will go deuces wild here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here to Palowix. And so now Nelson 2-2. Leans in. It is still Loveland over there at second and Flaherty at first for the Pilots. Nelson now 2-2. Will now set, deliver. That is down low. Gets by Charnetsky, 5-hole. And now that will advance both runners as that went right between Charnetsky's legs. And so that'll be an extra base for both runners here. And so now runners on second and third for the Pilots. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. And Palowix 3-2 that goes the count to him. So full count here. Big pitch from Nelson. Nelson trying to get the strikeout to end the bottom of the second inning. If he does not, it'll load the bases for the Pilots here. Nelson 3-2. Will now set, deliver, swung on a pop back, so that is foul. And Palowix will just keep himself alive. So still 3-2 the count now to Palowix. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. Flaherty off of second, and it is Loveland off of third. Nelson 3-2 will now lean in again. Nelson 3-2 will now set deal. Swing and a miss by Palowix. He struck him out. That is the first strikeout, the second strikeout of the night for Zach Nelson, and that will end the bottom of the second inning. We go to the top of the third. Pioneers still lead it 3-0. Welcome back here to the Pioneers live stream. It's the top of the third inning here, and a new pitcher on the mound for the Pilots here. It'll be number 41, Logan White, who will now be pitching here for the Pilots. Or Landon White. He has a 5.55 ERA and a 2-1 record in 8 appearances and 3 starts. He's pitched 24.1 innings. He's only given up 24 hits, 17 runs, 15 of those earned, and 13 walks. Leading off this inning for the Pioneers, it'll be number 77, Joe Muzio. designated hitter as he reached on a fielder's choice in his first at-bat. White will set deal. That is in there outside for ball one. So 1-0 the count now to Muzio. No outs here in the top of the third. White now 1-0. Will now set, deliver. That is just outside ball two. So 2-0 the count out to Muzio. No outs here in the top of the third. White now 2-0 will set deal. Swung on a pop back. Left field side. That is fouling out of play. So 2-1 the count now to Muzio. No outs here in the top of the third. White now 2-1. Will now set, deliver. Swung on a pop back. Left field side. Fouling out of play. And so the count will go 2-2 here now as it evens up to Muzio. No outs here in the top of the third. White now will step back onto the mound here. White 2-2. Will now step back on the mound here. No outs in the top of the third. Shake off one pitch. And now White taking his sweet time here. As now Muzio is going to step out, so even more of a delay. So still 2-2 the count to Muzio. No outs here in the top of the third. White now will set deal. Swing and a miss by Muzio. And he goes down swinging. So that'll be a strikeout by Joe Muzio to put one out on the board here in the top of the third. And now that'll bring up the extra hitter number 8, Cooper Smith. He flew out in his first at-bat. Looking to get a base hit here. One out in the top of the third. White now will set deal. That one is down low for ball one. So 1-0 the count now to Smith. One out here in the top of the third. Smith looking to get a base hit here to try and get on. White 1-0. And now we'll set, deliver. That is down low and outside, and that gets by the catcher. So 2-0 goes the count to Smith. One out here in the top of the third. White now 2-0. Well, now set, deliver. That is in there. Called strike one. So 2-1 the count now to Cooper Smith. One out here in the top of the third. 2-1 the count to Smith. One out here in the top of the third. White now will set, deliver. That is outside ball three. So 3-1 the count now to Cooper Smith. One out here in the top of the third. White in danger of giving up his first walk here to Smith with only one out here in the top of the third. Smith 3-1. White now will set, deliver. That is down low and outside. Ball four. That will be a walk for Cooper Smith. And so he will go over to first. And now that'll bring up number 14, Jake Keller, the first baseman, who struck out in his first at-bat. White now, one out here in the top of the third. Runner on first and Cooper Smith. White now will look over to Smith off of first. White now will set, deal. That is inside for ball one. The catcher just held on to that. So 1-0 the count. White has a lot of velocity. It's a bit different than what everything else we've seen from today. A lot of off speed from everyone else. But White is certainly a velocity pitcher. 1-0 the count to Keller here. Smith on first. White now 1-0. Well, now set deal. Swung on a pop back into the netting right in front of us. So the count will now even up at aces wild. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out here in the top of the third. Cooper Smith off first for the Pioneers. White now 1-1. With Smith taking his lead off first. White now will set, deliver, swung on, and pop back by Keller, and the count will go 1-2. So 1-2 the count to Keller, 1 out here in the top of the third. White 1-2. 1 out here in the top of the third. White with Cooper Smith off first. Well, now set deal. Swung on a popped up. Left field side. That is foul. Smith collapsed when he tried to foul that one away. But he is able to just stay alive. So 1-2 the count now to Keller. 1 out here in the top of the third. Smith off of first for the Pioneers. Keller 1-2. White looks into him here. 1 out in the top of the third. White looks over to Smith. And now we'll set down low. That is ball 2, and Cooper Smith over to second base. So 2-2 the count now to Keller as Cooper Smith will steal second. So now White 2-2, 1 out here in the top of the third. White looks over to Smith. Two and two the count. White now will set, deliver, swung on it, popped into right. And a right fielder will come under and make the play. And now Cooper Smith is going to be stuck at second as there was a good throw in and a leaping effort by the shortstop Flaherty to get that ball. So fly out by Keller will put 2 outs here in the top of the third. And now that'll bring on number 47, Ray Hernandez, the third baseman, who flew out in his first at bat. Hernandez always has home run ability, so I would love to see him hit one here. White now will face Hernandez. Smith off of second with 2 outs here in the top of the third. White now will set deal. Swung on it, driven into center. Center fielder's going back, and he will make the play. A well-hit baseball by Hernandez, but it's caught by the center fielder. And that will end the top of the third. No runs for the Pioneers. We go to the bottom of the third right after this. Welcome back here to the Pioneers live stream. It's the bottom of the third inning here. Zach Nelson back on the mound for the Pioneers. And leading off, it'll be number 25, Frankie DiMartino for the Pilots. DiMartino popped out in his first at-bat. Nelson will set deal. That is a bunt laid down by DiMartino. Nelson will field it. Throw to first, and that will be one away. Ground out on one pitch by DiMartino as he attempted to bunt. And that will put 1 out here on the board in the bottom of the third. And now that'll bring up number 8, Tatsunori Negishi The extra hitter, he was walked in his first at bat. Nelson now with 1 out here in the bottom of the third. Will now set, deliver. That is in there. Called strike one. Nagishi showed bunt. Newark Pilots are just bunting. All of them are bunting. As so far the first two batters have showed bunt here in this bottom of the third. Very interesting. 0-1 the count now. Nelson will set, deal. That is swung on and popped back foul left field side. So the count will go 0-2 now to Nagishi. 1 out here in the bottom of the third. Nelson will set the deal. Swung on it, weakly chopped over to Bisaccia. Bisaccia will field it. Throw to first in time, and that will be 2 away. Back-to-back groundouts for Nelson here in the bottom of the third, and that'll put 2 outs away. And so now that'll bring up number 10, Justin DiMartino. Both DiMartino brothers in action here for the Pilots. The left fielder tonight struck out in his first at-bat. Nelson with 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Only needs 1 more out in order to end the ball, or end the inning, I should say, not the ball game. Ball game still got a long way to go. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Nelson now will set, deliver. That one is in there. Called strike one. 0-1 the count now to DiMartino. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Nelson 0-1. Will now set, deliver. That one is in there just upstairs and inside for ball one. So 1-1 the count to DiMartino. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Nelson 1-1 will set, deliver. That one is upstairs, ball 2. So 2-1 the count to DiMartino. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Nelson now 2-1. Will now set, deliver. Swung on and check swing. They're going to say that he went. And so that is going to be called strike 2. So deuces wild the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Nelson looking for the strikeout here to end the bottom of the third inning. Nelson now 2-2 will set, deal. That one is outside for ball 1. So, or excuse me, ball 3. So that is 3-2 the count now to DiMartino. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Nelson still looking for the strikeout to end the bottom of the third inning. Nelson now 3-2 will set, deal. Swung on a pop back. DiMartino just got a piece of that, and he will stay alive at 3-2. Nelson now 3-2. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Nelson looking for the strikeout. Will now set, deal. That is upstairs, ball 4. And so that'll be a walk for DiMartino with 2 outs here in the bottom of the third to put a runner on first for the Pilots. And now that'll bring up number 7, Jack Arcamon, the designated hitter. He singled in his first at-bat. He has the highest batting average for the Pilots on the team at .329. And he was an all-star. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Nelson now will set, deal. Swung on a weakly driven over to Bisaccia. Bisaccia will field it. Go to second in time. And that will be a ground out to end the bottom of the third inning. No runs for the Pilots. We go to the top of the fourth right after this. Welcome back into the Pioneers live stream. It's the top of the fourth inning here. Landon White still out there on the mound for the Pilots, and it'll be number 2, Dom Presto, leading off here for the Pioneers. Presto singled in his first at-bat. White now will set deal. Swung on a driven. That's a base hit in the left. Presto 2 for 2 tonight. What a night for Dom Presto. He's 2 for 2 with 2 singles tonight to lead off here on the top of the fourth. Now that'll bring on number 42, Spencer Aubin, the left fielder, who was walked in his first at-bat. No outs here in the top of the fourth. Presto off of first for the Pioneers. Right now, we'll look into Aubin. And now we'll look over to Presto off of first. White now will set, deliver. That was inside for ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Aubin. No outs here in the top of the fourth. And it looks like the Pioneers will be taking a step away from first place, even if they do win this ball game, as Batavia leads it 6-0 in Game 2 of their doubleheader over Geneva. So they're probably going to sweep, and if they do, the Pioneers, considering they dropped Game 1, will be taking at least half a game back. I don't know exactly how the standings work, but they're going to be taking at least a half game back from the top spot. So Batavia gets ever closer to locking that up. But hopefully, if Auburn can sweep Jamestown, then the Pioneers will still be taking a step forward in terms of locking up second place. That one is upstairs and outside for ball 2. So 2-1 the count to Aubin. No outs here in the top of the fourth. Presto off of first for the Pioneers. Right now 2-1. White checks over to first, and Presto is safe over there. And so now, White 2-1 still to Aubin. With Presto over there at first. White will look over to Presto. 2-1. And now will set, delivers. Check swing. They're going to call strike 2 anyway. So 2-2 the count to Aubin. No outs here in the top of the fourth. White 2-2. We'll look over to Presto off of first. And now White will set, deliver. That one is down low. Gets by the catcher, and Presto's going to go to second. And so that was ball 3. So 3-2 the count now. 3-2 the count to Aubin. No outs here on the top of the fourth. Presto off of second. White 3-2. No outs here in the top of the fourth. Aubin trying to either draw a walk or potentially drive in Presto with the base hit. White will set deal. That is outside, ball 4. That'll be back-to-back walks for Aubin in his first 2 at-bats. And that'll put runners on first and second here for the Pioneers with no outs in the top of the fourth. And now that'll bring up number 4, Weston Gingrich, the center fielder, grounded out in his first at-bat. And so now White now will look over to Presto off second, who's dancing around a little bit. And now we'll set deal. That is outside and upstairs, ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Gingrich. No outs here in the top of the fourth. White 1-0 to Gingrich. No outs here in the top of the fourth. Runners on first and second for the Pioneers. White now. We'll look over to Presto. Presto still dancing. And now we'll set deal. Swung on a pop back, left field side. And so the count will even up by 1-1. 1-1 the count to Presto as we have reached the halfway point here in this Game 2 of this doubleheader. 3-0 is the exact opposite of Game 1, where it was all scoring. Now it's no scoring here in Game 2, so that's just the way it's been going. 1-1 the count to Gingrich. No outs here in the top of the fourth. White will look over to Presto. And now we'll set, deliver. Swung on a chopped foul. That is right field side, so the count will go 1-2 now to Gingrich. No outs here in the top of the fourth. Aubin off first, Presto off second. White now back on the mound, looks over to Presto. Still 1-2 the count to Gingrich. No outs here in the top of the fourth. White now 1-2. We'll look over to Presto now. Sets, deals. That one is upstairs. Called strike three. A late call by the umpire. That is a strikeout by Gingrich to put one out here on the board in the top of the fourth. Very delayed called strike three, but it is a called strike three. And so now that'll bring him to 24. Eric Charnetsky, the catcher, who was hit by a pitch in his first at-bat. White now with one out here in the top of the fourth. Runners on first and second for the Pioneers. White now. We'll look over to Presto. And now there's going to be a throw-out attempt, and that will be out. Or Presto is going to be safe. I thought he was out. I clearly thought that was an out. But the umpire is going to call him safe, so that's better for the Pioneers. They'll take it. I think that's a bad call personally. I'm the Pioneers broadcaster. I think that was a bad call. But he will be safe at second. Charnetsky at the plate. No pitches yet from White. White now. We'll look over to Presto. And now we'll set deal. Presto's going to try and steal third. And the throw is not in time. No, they're going to call him out now when the balls take a skip in the dirt. Wow. And now that'll put two outs here on the top of the fourth. They just completely contradicted themselves. The umpires did. They didn't call him out at second, and then they call him out at third when it's clearly not an out. So that is complete BS by the umpires. What is that? Like, that is the most inconsistent and contradictory thing I've ever seen. And so 0-1 the count to Charnetsky on a terrible stretch of calls for the umpires. Don Presto should have been out at second. Yeah, but Aubin is over there at second now as he was able to steal. 0-1 the count to Charnetsky. That stretch of calls just baffled my mind. White 0-1 looks over to Aubin. And now we'll set, deliver, swung on a pop back. Charnetsky, the count will go 0-2 now. That was foul. So 0-2 the count now to Charnetsky. Two outs here in the top of the fourth. White now 0-2 is, I believe it, yes, there is rain coming down here in Newark. It's starting to drizzle here. White 0-2. Well, now set, deal, swung on, and check swing. And now Charnetsky's going to run to first, and he will go to first as that one got away from the catcher. So I don't even know how to score that, but that is Charnetsky on first. And so wild pitch, so an error will allow Charnetsky to go to first. I don't know exactly how to score that. I'm going to ask about that in the inning intermission. Okay, so it's called a strikeout swinging for Charnetsky, but he advanced due to a wild pitch because it was a drop-through strikeout. That's what I've been told. So now with two outs here in the top of the fourth and runners on the corners for the Pioneers, that'll bring in number 22, Nick Bisaccia, the second baseman, who already has an RBI single tonight. And that one is swung on a chop back foul. So 0-1 the count now to Bisaccia. On the count to Bisaccia. Two outs here in the top of the fourth. Bisaccia looking to get another RBI single here as Aubin is on third. Charnetsky's on first. White will set deal. That is upstairs and outside, ball one. So 1-1 the count now to Bisaccia as the count will even up. Two outs here in the top of the fourth. White 1-1. Well, now look over to Charnetsky. And now White will set, deliver. That is in there. Called strike two. So 1-2 the count now to Bisaccia. Two outs here in the top of the fourth. White 1-2. And he will now set, deliver. That is inside, ball two. Called strike three, actually. Bisaccia is confused by the call. But that will end the top of the fourth inning with three in a row strikeouts for Landon White. And so no more runs for the Pioneers in the top of the fourth. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Pioneers still lead at 3-0. Welcome back here now to the Pioneers live stream. It's the bottom of the fourth inning here. Pioneers lead it 3-0 over Newark in game 2 of this doubleheader. Leading off this inning for the Pilots, it'll be number 24, Chris Ferrara, who flew out in his first at-bat. Nelson still on the mound for the Pioneers. Nelson now will set deal. That is upstairs, ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Ferrara. And yeah, the Pioneers are not getting much help from Geneva, as that is called strike 1, as Geneva is still down 6-0 in the bottom of the 5th. The game 2 of Batavia's doubleheader. So it does look like Batavia is going to sweep. Nelson was that deal, popped up right field side. That is foul. So the count will go 1-2 to Ferrara. Nelson 1-2. Looking for the strikeout. It'd be his 3rd of the ball game. Nelson now 1-2 will set deal. That is down low for ball 2. So 2-2 the count now to Ferrara as it will even up. No outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson 2-2. As the rain is coming down here in Newark, will now set deal. Swung on it, popped up off the end of the bat. Keller's going for it, but that is way out of play. So the count will stay at 2-2 to Ferrara. No outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson 2-2. Will now set, deliver, swung on a pop back right over our heads. And so the count will stay at 2-2 to Ferrara. Still no outs here in the bottom of the 4th. You can see the sun in the top left corner of your screen, but it is dark and gloomy above us, which is why it's raining here in Newark. So 2-2 the count now. Nelson looking for the strikeout. Will now set, deal, swing and a miss by Ferrara. He goes down swinging. That is the 3rd strikeout of the night for Zach Nelson. That will put 1 away here in the bottom of the 4th. And now that'll bring up number 29, Nick Payne, the 3rd baseman, who grounded out in his first at-bat. And that one is in there. Called strike 1 to Payne, number 29, the 3rd baseman. Ground out in his first at-bat. 0-1 the count to him. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson now 0-1. Will set, deal. That one is down low for ball 1, and that will even up the count at aces wild here. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. And so, as I was saying, you can see the sun in the top left corner, but it is raining here in Newark. And that one is inside ball 2. So 2-1 the count now to Payne as he will take the lead. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson 2-1. Well, now set, deliver. That is upstairs. Ball 3. So 3-1 the count now to Payne. Nelson trying to avoid the walk here. Needs a strike. Nelson 3-1 will now set, deal. That is upstairs. Ball 4. That will be a walk for Payne. And that'll put a runner on first here with 1 out in the bottom of the 4th for the Pilots. And now that'll bring him number 12, Briggs Loveland, the 2nd baseman, was walked in his first at-bat. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson now will set, deal. That one is down low and outside for ball 1. So 1-0 the count now to Loveland. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson now will lean back in. Nelson 1-0. Will now set, deal, swung on a driven over. That is a base hit in the right. And now Payne will be stopped at second as the ball is quickly cut off. But as a single for Loveland here to put runners on first and second with 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. And now that'll bring up number 20, Michael Flaherty, the shortstop. He singled in his first at-bat. That one is in there, called strike 1 to Flaherty. Number 20, Michael Flaherty, the shortstop. Singled in his first at bat. 0-1 the count to him. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Looks like Gardner Meeks might be warming over there in the bullpen for the Pioneers. Nelson 0-1 the count. Well, now set deal. Swing and a miss by Flaherty, and the count goes 0-2. 0-2 the count to Flaherty. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. And the rain continues to come down here in Newark. Nelson 0-2. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson will look over to Payne. And now we'll set deal. Swung on a weakly, chopped over to Hernandez. Hernandez will go to second, and he will be out. So that is a fielder's choice out to get the runner at second base. And so now that'll bring up 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th, and that'll bring up number 2, Paulie Goodness, the right fielder who popped out in his first at-bat. And so Nelson with 2 outs here, looking for 1 more out in order to end the ball game, or end the inning. Why do I keep saying end the ball game? It's not ending the ball game. It is ending the inning. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson now will face Goodness. Will now set deal. That is down low and outside for ball 1. 1 another count to Goodness here. 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson looks in. 1-0. And now we'll set deal. That one is in there just upstairs for ball 2. 2 into the count. And now that is going to be a score as all of a sudden Payne stole home. Payne has stole home, and it is now a 3-1 ball game. And Nick Payne, as soon as Nelson turned around, ran in and scored. And so 2-0 the count to Goodness here. Runner on first still on Flaherty for the Pilots. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th, and now a 3-1 ball game. Nelson 2-0. Well, now set deal. That is upstairs for ball 3. So 3-0 the count now to Goodness. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson 3-0. Nelson 3-0 to Goodness. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Well, now set deal. That one is in there. Called strike 1. 3-1 the count now to Goodness. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. The sun glaring, as you can see it on the camera in the top of your screen. Nelson will set deal. Popped up. And Keller's going for it. He is out of play. It is out of play. So the count will go 3-2 now to Goodness. It goes full. And Nelson looking for the strikeout here in order to end the bottom of the 4th and probably Nelson's last inning of work as Meeks is warming. Nelson 3-2. Big pitch here for Nelson. Nelson trying to end this inning and allow Gardner Meeks to start at the bottom of the 5th. Well, set deal popped up, and that is fouling out of play. Charnetsky, nothing he can do there. So the count will go 3-2. 3-2 still the count to Goodness here. Nelson with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th, still looking for that strikeout in order to end the bottom of the 4th inning. And then I have to assume Meeks is going to come in here in the top of the 5th. Nelson 3-2 will set deal. That is upstairs. Ball 4. And that'll be a walk for Paulie Goodness to put runners on first and second here for the Pilots with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. And now that'll bring up number 18, Jack Palowicz. The catcher struck out in his first at-bat. Nelson looking to try and get out of this inning. Any out ends the inning for Nelson. He needs an out here as Meeks is still warming and will probably come in to start the bottom of the 5th. Nelson now looks over to Flaherty and that will set deal. That is down low for ball 1. 1-0 the count to Palowicz. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Nelson needs to strike out or any out by that means. And the Pioneers, they need this game. And they're not getting much help from Auburn as they're down 1-0 to Jamestown in the bottom of the 1st of that game. Nelson will set deal, popped up, and now Garrett coming in Presto, underneath it, and Gingrich will make the play, and that will end the bottom of the 4th inning. Only one run given up in the bottom of the 4th to the Pilots. We go to the top of the 5th. Pioneers still lead it 3-1.
Existed. And now there's over 300. And he firmly believed that you have to have a certain level of integrity and honesty with the people around you and yourself. And these are kind of the staples of what our business is. Bully Hill was built on the back of French-American hybrid vines. These varietals were developed in France in the 19th century, and they were brought over by my grandfather in the 1950s. And here at Bully Hill, we started the experimental farm, from where these hybrid varietals have made their way to almost all 50 states. As we become more environmentally conscious, we're looking for agricultural solutions that have less impact on the environment. Now, the French hybrids that my grandfather brought over in the 1950s already solved this problem ahead of time. They take half the amount of fungicide, and that was the backbone of what built Bully Hill, the French-American hybrids. My dad firmly believed that a product is an extension of a person's soul, and we still adhere to that today at Bully Hill Vineyards. His memory and his vision is still seen around the Finger Lakes. Here at Bully Hill, we're excited about the future and sharing this experience with you. Bully for you.
I was actually a passenger on the bus. Sitting on the bus, I looked up and I saw, we are hiring. So I called up the number, I came in for an interview, and I started driving. My name is Randy Ramnarayan. I'm the Director of Transportation here at TransDev, and I've been...
Welcome back to the Pioneers live stream. It's the top of the 5th inning here. Pioneers lead it 3-1 over the Pilots. It'll still be Landon White on the mound here for the Pilots. And leading off this inning for the Pioneers, it'll be number 33, Kevin Noss, the right fielder, who singled in his first at-bat, grounded out in his second at-bat. White now. Noss will be stepping into the plate here. White now will set, deal. That one is outside ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Noss. No outs here on the top of the 5th. White now 1-0. Now set, deal. That is down low. Called strike 1. Just caught the bottom of the zone. So 1-1 the count now to Noss. No outs here in the top of the 5th. White 1-1. No outs here in the top of the 5th. Now also step back in. White now will set, deliver. That is in there. Called strike 2. So 1-2 the count out of Noss. No outs here in the top of the 5th. White 1-2. Well, now set, deliver, swing and a miss by Noss. He goes down swinging, and that'll put 1 out here in the top of the 5th inning for the Pioneers, or for the Pilots, I should say. And so now that'll bring up number 77, Joe Muzio, the designated hitter, reached on the fielder's choice in his first at-bat, struck out in his second at-bat. 1 out here in the top of the 5th. White now. Well, now set, deal. That one is in there. Called strike 1. 1-1 the count to Muzio. 1 out here in the top of the 5th. And Landon White is just dealing it right now. He has 5 Ks on the day. Very impressive performance from him. 1-1 the count now to Muzio. White now will step off the mound as he is given time. 1 out here in the top of the 5th. Muzio now will step back in as White steps back on the mound. White on 1. And now will set, deliver, swing and a miss by Muzio, and the count goes 0-2. 0-2 the count to Muzio, 1 out here in the top of the 5th. 0-2. White now 0-2. Well, now set deal. That one is in there. Called strike 3. That is a strikeout for Musio. 2 strikeouts for Musio on the day. He still is hitless in his last 3 games. And now that we're going to rate Cooper Smith, the extra hitter, flew out in his first at-bat, walked in his second at-bat. And that will actually put 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. White now will set deal. Swung on it, popped up. Right field side. That looks foul and out of play. So the count will go 0-1 now to Smith. 2 outs here in the bottom of, or excuse me, in the top of the 5th. White now 0-1 the count to Smith. White now will set deal. Swing and a miss by Smith, and the count goes 0-2. 0-2 the count to Smith. 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. And so now still 0-2 the count now. White will set deal. That is inside for ball 1. So 1-2 the count now to Cooper Smith. As it's been 5 strikeouts in a row here for White. White now 1-2 looking for a 6th in a row. Will now set deal. That one is going to be a hit by pitch. It hit off his shoulder. And they're going to call strike 3 on that. Smith got hit in the shoulder and they're calling him out. So that is a strikeout for Landon White to end the top of the 5th inning, as Smith, he didn't even lean into it. He just got hit, and they're going to call him out. So that is another BS call by this umpire crew. And now we go to the bottom of the 5th. Right after this, the Pioneers still lead it 3-1. Welcome back into the Pioneers live stream, and I have the reason why the umps called Cooper Smith out. They're going to say Smith leaned into the pitch on a slider inside, but I don't agree with that call. But still, anyway, we're in the bottom of the 5th here now, and a new pitcher on the mound for the Pioneers. It'll be number 49, Gardner Meeks, who will be coming in tasked to close this one out. Meeks making his 10th appearance and also has 2 starts on his record, a 1.24 ERA. In 29 innings pitched, he's only given up 16 hits, 5 runs, 4 of those earned, 14 walks, and has 32 Ks this season. Very, very impressive numbers. Meeks also an all-star for the Pioneers this season. He has a 3-1 record and 2 saves. Last time we saw him pitch was on the 20th of July versus Jamestown, where he threw for 6 innings, only gave up 1 earned run on 4 hits, and had 8 strikeouts. So Meeks tasked here with getting 9 outs to try and get the Pioneers the win here. Meeks now will have to be starting up against the leadoff man, and number 25, Frankie DiMartino, as that one is in there, called strike 1. 0-1 the count now to DiMartino. No outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Meeks now 0-1. Well, now set deal. That one is in there, called strike 2. 0-2 the count now to DiMartino. Can he get the 3-pitch strikeout here to DiMartino? He's only thrown 2 so far. Meeks 0-2. Well, now set deal. That one is in there, just down low. Called strike 3. Called it anyway. That is a 3-pitch strikeout for Gardner Meeks, and that will put one away here in the bottom of the 5th. A great start for Meeks. He's dealing right now. That was fantastic. And now that'll bring up number 8, Tatsunori Negishi, the extra hitter. Walked in his first at-bat, grounded out in his second at-bat. Meeks now will set deal. That one is upstairs for ball 1. That was a fastball. 1-0 the count to Negishi. 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Meeks 1-0. Will now set, deliver. That one is down low and inside for ball 2. So 2-0 the count now to Negishi. 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Negishi reads the strike zone very, very well. He's been the toughest out for the Pioneers to get. Meeks trying to get him here. 2-0 the count. Meeks now will set, deal. Swung on a pop straight up. And Meeks is under it. And he will let Ray Hernandez catch it. And so that will be a pop out by Negishi to put 2 outs on the board here in the bottom of the 5th. And Meeks has been dealing so far. Very, very impressive stuff from him. And so now that'll bring up number 10, Justin DiMartino, the left fielder. Struck out in his first at-bat, walked in his second at-bat. Meeks, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Will now set, deliver. That one is in there, called strike 1. 0-1 the count now to DiMartino. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Meeks is feeling it right now. Last time he was in Newark, he wasn't feeling it so much, but tonight he has got it. 0-1 the count now. Meeks will set, deal. That one is down low and outside for ball 1. So 1-1 the count to DiMartino. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Meeks has so many variety of arm sort of angles is what I should call it. He's got that overhand, sidearm, and then submarine down low. That one was down low and outside for ball 2. So 2-1 the count now to DiMartino, Justin DiMartino, I should say. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Meeks 2-1. Well, now set, deal. That one is in there, called strike 2. So the count will now even up to Deuces Wild there. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Meeks now, Deuces Wild. Well, now set, deal. That one is just inside for ball 3. So 3-2 the count now to DiMartino. Meeks looking for the strikeout to end the bottom of the 5th inning. Meeks 3-2. Full count will now set, deal. Swing and a miss by DiMartino. He strikes him out. That's the second strikeout of the night for Gardner Meeks, and that will end the bottom of the 5th inning. No runs for the Pilots. We go to the top of the 6th. Pioneers still lead it 3-1. Welcome back here to the Pioneers live stream. It's the top of the 6th inning here. Landon White still in the mound here for the Pilots, and it will be number 14, Jake Keller, leading off here. The first baseman struck out in his first at-bat, flew out in his second at-bat. And 7 strikeouts for Landon White so far, 6 in a row. So White now, no outs here in the top of the 6th. White's probably going to go all the way and as will Meeks in all likelihood. So Meeks and White are probably going to be just duking it out all the way to the end. White will set deal. That one is down low for ball 1. And of course, this only being a 7-inning ball game, so only 6 more outs required from Gardner Meeks in order to get the split here against Newark. White now 1-0 to Keller. Will now set deal. That one is in there. Called strike 1. 1-1 the count to Keller. No outs here in the top of the 6th. White 1-1. White now will set deal. That one is down low and away for ball 2. So 2-1 the count now to Keller. No outs here in the top of the 6th. White 2-1. Well, now set deal. That one is down low and away for ball 3. So 3-1 the count now to Keller. No outs here in the top of the 6th. White 3-1. In danger of giving up his 3rd walk of the ball game here. White will set deal. That one is down low outside. That will be a walk. So that is the 3rd walk of the night for Landon White, and that will put Jake Keller on first with no outs here in the top of the 6th. And now that'll bring up number 47, Ray Hernandez, the 3rd baseman. Flew out in his first at-bat, flew out in his second at-bat. Hernandez has hit the ball well, just simply not in the right spot. And of course, Hernandez always has home run power, so a chance for him to deliver some damage here. White now. Keller off first. Well, now set deal. That one is down low for ball 1. Good take there by Hernandez. So the count will go 1-0. 1-0 the count to Hernandez. No outs here in the top of the 6th. Keller off of first for the Pioneers. White 1-0. Well, now set deal. Swing and a miss by Hernandez, and the count goes 1-1. So 1-1 the count to Hernandez. No outs here in the top of the 6th. White looks over to Keller. White once again looks over to Keller. Keller takes his lead. And now White will set deal. That one is inside ball 2. So 2-1 the count out to Hernandez as he will take the lead in the count. No outs here in the top of the 6th. Pioneers hoping that Auburn can come back against Jamestown. It's the top of the 3rd inning. Jamestown still leads it 2-0 over Auburn. We're hoping for Auburn wins here. Of course, we're also hoping for Batavia to lose against Geneva, even though I think that game is already over. 6-0 the score right now. It says bottom of the 5th, but I'm pretty sure it is over. So 2-1 the count to Hernandez. No outs here in the top of the 6th. White now will set deal. Swung on a driven in the right center. That's a base hit. And that will be a single for Hernandez as Keller's going to go all the way to 3rd. So a single for Hernandez to put runners on the corners with no outs here in the top of the 6th. A chance for the Pioneers to extend their lead, give Meeks more of a lead to work with. And so now that'll bring on number 2, Dom Presto, the shortstop. He's 2 for 2 tonight with 2 singles, and it looks like White's going to have a talking to here from the pitching coach. And he is done. I'm being told in my left ear that he is done for the night. So White is over. Very impressive, 7 Ks, but he did give up a couple base hits as well and some walks. And so now it looks like that is number 31, Cam Kingsley. So Cam Kingsley's coming in here. He has an 8.31 ERA in 6 appearances. This is his 7th. He has 1 save, 8.2 innings pitched, giving up 9 hits, 8 runs, all those earned. 6 walks and has 7 strikeouts this season. And so Cam Kingsley will be coming in here to relieve Landon White with runners on the corners for the Pioneers and no outs here in the top of the 6th. And now I'm going to take a quick break here and step away from the microphone while Kingsley warms up. And actually, I'm going to change the scenes here to change my camera battery real quick. You're not missing anything as Kingsley will take his time to warm up. Well, I'm back here now as Kingsley's just about warmed up, and so Presto will be coming to the plate. Like I said, Presto, the shortstop, 2 for 2 tonight, so very impressive night for him in game 2 here. Did not play game 1. And so Kingsley now will be leaning into Presto. No outs here in the top of the 6th. Runner on the corners here for the Pioneers. Keller at third, Hernandez at first. Kingsley will set deal. That one is upstairs, ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Presto. No outs here in the top of the 6th. Kingsley now 1-0. Well, now set deal. Swung on a driven. That's another base hit. Presto is 3 for 3, and that's an RBI single. As now Hernandez is going to go. That's actually an RBI double. As the left fielder couldn't pick it up. So that is an RBI double for Dom Presto. And that will make it a 4-1 ball game here. And so actually that's going to be just an RBI single. So he's 3 for 3 with all singles tonight, Presto is, and that one an RBI one. He's over there at second because he advanced off of the left fielder's error. No outs here in the top of the 6th. And now that'll bring up number 42, Spencer, up in the left fielder, who has been walked twice so far in this game. Presto at second, Hernandez at third for the Pioneers. Still no outs in the top of the 6th. Kingsley will set deal. That one is down low and away for ball 1. So 1-0 the count now to Aubin. No outs here in the top of the 6th. Runners on second and third. Kingsley with the infield all the way in, expecting bunt. Kingsley now 1-0 will set deal. Swing and a miss by Aubin. The count quickly goes 1-1 now as it evens up. Infield in. I don't think Aubin is going to lay down a bunt here. I don't even think he's going to attempt at one, but infield in anyways. Now they're retreating back a little bit. 1-1 the count to Aubin. Kingsley now will set, deliver, swung on it, popped up. That is right field side and foul. So the count will go 1-2 now to Aubin. No outs here in the top of the 6th. Kingsley 1-2. He will now set, deliver, swing and a miss by Aubin, and he goes down swinging. That is the first strikeout for Cam Kingsley, and that'll put one out here in the top of the 6th. And now they'll bring up number 4, Weston Gingrich, the center fielder. He ground out his first at-bat, struck out in his second at-bat. One out here in the top of the 6th. The runner still on second and third for the Pioneers. They lead a 4-1. Kingsley now with Presto playing with his batting helmet. He's throwing it up and down. That one is in there, called strike 1 to Gingrich. So 0-1 the count to Gingrich. One out here in the top of the 6th. On the count, Kingsley now will set, deal, swing and a miss by Gingrich, and the count goes 0-2 now. 0-2 the count to Gingrich, one out here in the top of the 6th. Kingsley 0-2. And he will now wait. And now will set, deal, swing and a miss by Gingrich, and now the pitch gets by the catcher, and Hernandez will score. And so it is a 5-1 ball game here, as Ray Hernandez will score on a wild pitch. And Gingrich will go down swinging, so that's back-to-back strikeouts, but 2 outs here on the board in the top of the 6th. And so now, that'll bring up number 24, excuse me, Gingrich is actually safe at first, as there was a drop-through strikeout, but it got by the catcher, so Gingrich was able to go to first. So Gingrich will be safe at first, and it is Presto at third. 1 out here in the top of the 6th, so let me actually change that back real quick. It'll now be Charnetsky at the plate. Kingsley will set deal, and now immediately Gingrich tries to steal second. He will be out at second. That'll be 2 outs, and down Presto will score. So Presto will score, make it 6-1, but that will put 2 outs on the board on a throw out there of Weston Gingrich. So now the score is 6-1. The Pioneers lead it 1-0. The count now to Charnetsky. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Kingsley now will set deal. That is upstairs, ball 2. So 2-0 the count now to Charnetsky. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Kingsley 2-0. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. No runners on, as all of them have scored. 3 runs here for the Pioneers in the top of the 6th. Kingsley was set deal, swung on it. Char lost his bat into the stands. Are you kidding me? That went all the way over the fence and went into the stands and into the bleachers. One of the wackiest plays ever, as Charnetsky completely lost it on his backswing, and he throws it into the stands, not intentionally, but he does lose it in the stands. And so 2-1 the count to Charnetsky. I have never seen that before. It went up and over the fence behind the Pioneers dugout, and it went into the stands. That thing had some height on it. Wow. Kingsley now 2-1. Well, now set deal. That one is inside, ball 3. So 3-1 the count now to Charnetsky. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Kingsley 3-1. Well, now set deal. Swung on it, popped up by Charnetsky. Kingsley hustling for it, and he will not be able to get it, as he is just come up short. And so the count will go 3-2 now to Charnetsky as it goes full. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Kingsley 3-2. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. It is still 2-0 the score of the Jamestown-Auburn game. Of course, Pioneers are rooting for an Auburn sweep there. Kingsley 3-2 will set deal. That is down low for ball 4. That'll be a walk for Charnetsky. And so now that'll bring on number 22, Nick Bisaccia, the second baseman. RBI singled in his first at-bat, struck out in his second at-bat. Charnetsky will be on first for the Pioneers here, as the rain is back now. It was stopped for a little while, and now it is back here in Newark. Still 2 outs as Bisaccia will come to the plate. Kingsley will set deal. That is down low and away for ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Bisaccia. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Charnetsky off first. Kingsley looks that way. Kingsley 1-0. Well, now set deal. Swung on a pop back. Out of play. That is right field side. So the count will even up at 1-1 to Bisaccia. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Kingsley 1-1. And that one will be in there. Called strike 2. So 1-2 the count now to Bisaccia. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. 1-2 the count to Bisaccia. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Charnetsky off first. Kingsley now will set, deliver. That is down low and outside. Just picked by the catcher to keep Charnetsky at first. So the count will even up now at Deuces Wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Kingsley, deuce is wild. The rain's still coming down here. And we'll set deal. Swung on a driven. That might get through. It will be picked by the shortstop. Throw to first. It's not in time. And now Charnetsky's going to go to third. And Charnetsky will be safe at third. And so that'll be a single for Bisaccia to put him on first. And Charnetsky able to go all the way over to third base for the Pioneers. Still 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. And now that'll bring up the leadoff man, number 33, Kevin Noss. The right fielder who singled in his first at-bat, grounded out in his second at-bat, struck out in his third at-bat. And now, and that is actually a ball trick. Third baseman ball trick as Kingley actually got Charnetsky to tag out. The third baseman tagged out Charnetsky over there at third base on a ball trick. The third baseman never threw it back to Kingsley, and so Charnetsky got tagged out at third. And so that will end the top of the 6th inning in one of the most bizarre fashions. We go to the bottom of the 6th. As you can see, Gardner Meeks will be back on the mound right after this. Welcome back here to the Pioneers live stream. It's the bottom of the 6th inning here. Pioneers lead at 6-1 over Newark. Gardner Meeks will be back on the mound here for the Pioneers. Pioneers 6 outs away from that split and keeping them where they are. Of course, Jamestown currently going for a split as well in game 2 of that doubleheader. They currently still lead it 2-0 in that game. Obviously, we're looking for an Auburn comeback. That's what the Pioneers are hoping for to separate themselves from Jamestown. Meeks will set deal. That is outside ball 1. To number 7, Jack Arcamone, the designated hitter. Singled in his first at-bat, grounded out in his second at-bat. Meeks will set deal. That one is in there. Called strike 1. So 1-1 the count now to Arcamone. Meeks 1-1. Will now set deal. That one is just down low for ball 2. So 2-1 the count now to Arcamone. No outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Meeks 2-1. Well, now set deal. That one is inside ball 3. So 3-1 the count now to Arcamone. Meeks looking to try and avoid giving up a leadoff walk here. He doesn't have a walk so far. He's been dealing. Just needs to find the strike zone again. 3-1. Meeks will set deal. Swung on it, popped up in the left, and it will be Aubin coming under it, and he will make the play, and that will be 1 away. Fly out by Arcamone will put 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. And now that'll bring up number 24, Chris Ferrara, the first baseman. Flew out in his first at-bat, struck out in his second at-bat. Meeks with 1 out will now set deal. That one is in there, called strike 1. 0-1 the count out to Ferrara. 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Meeks 0-1. Will now set, fire. That one is in there, called strike 2. Check swing by Ferrara. but he did not get a piece of it. So 0-2 the count now to Farrar. 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. And that one there, Meeks is going to request a new baseball now. And so Charneski will give it to him. 0-2 the count now to Ferrara. 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Meeks looking for his 3rd strikeout of the night. Meeks 0-2. Well, now set, deal. Swung on, popped up. And Gingrich will be coming in on it, and he will make the play. So that is 2 outs here now in the bottom of the 6th on a fly out by Ferrara. Meeks 1 out away from sending us to the top of the 7th. Meeks, of course, looking to go 1-2-3 here. It would be 6 up, 6 down for Meeks in the last 2 innings if he can get out. Number 29, Nick Payne, the 3rd baseman, grounded out in his first at-bat, walked in his second at-bat. Meeks now 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Well, now set, deal, swung on, and chopped back by Payne, and the count will go 0-1. So 0-1 the count to Payne, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Meeks 0-1, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Meeks 0-1 will now wait a minute as Payne is setting up. Meeks now will set, deal. That is going to be a hit by pitch as Payne was leaning away from it. Or actually, no, that's just going to be a ball. So 1-1 the count to Payne. Payne was limboing his way back and leaning back out of the batter's box, excuse me. 2 outs still here in the bottom of the 6th. 1-1, Meeks will set, deal. That one is outside, ball 2. So 2-1 the count to Payne. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. 2-1 the count to Payne. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Meeks now will set, deal. Swung on a driven weakly over to 3rd, and it'll be fielded by Presto. It throws to 1st in time. That will end the bottom of the 6th inning. What a play by Presto. And now we go to the top of the 7th inning. Pioneers lead it 6-1. Welcome back here to the Pioneers live stream. It's the top of the 7th inning here. Pioneers lead it 6-1 over the Pilots. And so now Kingsley still on the mound. Will set, deal, swung on it, immediately skied by Noss. That is out of play. And so the count will go 0-1 to Noss. No outs here in the top of the 7th. Kingsley now, 0-1, set steal, swing and a miss by Nos, and the count quickly goes 0-2 now. 0-2 the count to Nos here in the top of the 7th. And just to make sure everybody knows, it is only a 7-inning ball game as it is a doubleheader game. So after the bottom of the 7th, the game will be over if the Pilots cannot get 5 runs. Kingsley will set deal. That is just outside for ball 1. So 1-2 the count now to Nos. No outs here in the top of the 7th. And yeah, so the second Batavia game just went final. 9-2 the final score in that one. So Batavia moves one step ahead as a swing and a miss by Nos. And so he will go down swinging. And so that'll put 1 out here in the top of the 7th. And Batavia will move one step back closer to clinching that number 1 seed. We're still hoping for Auburn to come back against Jamestown. Jamestown still leads it 2-0 in the top of the 5th of that one. But now in this game, it will be number 77, Joe Muzio off the plate, the designated hitter. Reached a fielder's choice on his first at-bat. Struck out in his second at-bat. Struck out in his third at-bat. Kingsley now 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Will set deal. Swing and a miss by Muzio, and the count goes 0-1. 0-1 the count now to Muzio. 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Kingsley 0-1. Will now set deal. Swung on and driven. Skied into right. And the right fielder will come under it, and he will make the play. And so that will put 2 outs on the board on a fly out by Muzio. And so now that'll bring up number 8, Cooper Smith, the extra hitter tonight. Flew out in his first at-bat, walked in his second at-bat, struck out in his third at-bat. Smith will be coming up here with 2 outs in the top of the 7th and nobody on for the Pioneers. Kingsley now will set, deliver. That one is outside and upstairs for ball 1. So 1-0 the count now to Smith. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Kingsley now 1-0. Will now set, deal. That one is down low and outside for ball 2. So 2-0 the count now to Smith. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Kingsley now 2-0. Will now set, deal. Swung on a driven right field side. That is foul. And so the count will go 2-1 now to Cooper Smith. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Kingsley 2-1. Will now set, deal. That one is down low and away for ball 3. So 3-1 the count now to Cooper Smith. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Smith 3-1. Kingsley will set, deal. That one is swung on a driven over to the shortstop. Shortstop Flaherty will field it. Throw to first in time, and that will end the top of the 7th inning. No runs for the Pioneers in the top of the 7th. We go to the bottom of the 7th where the Pioneers will be 3 outs away from a split in this doubleheader.
Employee engagement. This is what we do here at Transdev.
Have a nice day.
It's not a job that you gotta drag yourself out of bed to get. You wake up every morning excited to be here. This is the most wonderful place to work.
Welcome back into the Pioneers live stream. It's the bottom of the 7th inning. Meeks on the mound once again. 3 outs away from a split in this doubleheader. Leading off, it'll be number 12, Briggs Loveland. Walked in his first at-bat, singled in his second at-bat. Meeks now will set deal. Swung on a skied immediately. And this should be 1 out, as Gingrich will come under and he will make the play. So fly out by Loveland in 1 pitch, and there's 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And so now that'll bring up number 20, Michael Flaherty, the shortstop. Singled in his first at-bat, fielder's choice reached in his second at-bat. Meeks 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Meeks 2 outs away from the split. Meeks now will set deal. That one is down low and inside for ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Flaherty, number 20 Michael Flaherty, who was at the plate, the shortstop. Singled in his first at-bat, reached on a fielder's choice in his second at-bat. Meeks now will set deal. That one is in there, called strike 1. So the count will even up at aces wild here. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Meeks aces wild. Well, now set deal. Swung on a driven right to Hernandez. Hernandez will field it. Throw to first in time. He got him. That will be a ground now by Flaherty to put 2 outs on the board here in the bottom of the 7th. And now that'll bring him number 2, Paulie Goodness, the right fielder. Popped out his first at-bat, walked in his second at-bat. Meeks 1 out away from the split. And now that'll bring up number 2, Paulie Goodness. Popped out in his first at-bat, walked in his second at-bat. Meeks now will set deal. Swung on a weakly, chopped over to Presto. Presto will throw to first in time, and that will end the ball game. Pioneers split the day against Newark. 6-1 the final in game 2. Meeks dominating, and so did Nelson. Pioneers will split. And so they don't really go anywhere in the standings. And looking at the upcoming schedule, they'll be off the next 2 days on Monday and Tuesday before returning home versus Newark. They'll be at Auburn on the 27th and home for the last home game on the 28th before finishing out the regular season on the 29th on the road at Auburn. And so until Wednesday at home versus Newark, I am Alex Shepard, and I will see